Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a very different looking chapel service today. My name is Andrew, and I'm from the Ballarat Regional Healthcare Chaplaincy team. Well, normally you would find us up the front here with a lectern and us launching into the call to worship after having had some quiet, reflective music to start with. As many of you will know, in Victoria over the last few days, we've been in stage 4 lockdown. So that's scuppered a lot of plans for a lot of people and meant things had to change. So we thought we'd take the opportunity here at Chapel to try something a little bit different. So today we're having a sit-down conversation with the Rev Lauleti, and Lauleti Tu'inauvia has joined us today. We're going to grill him with some questions and find out a little bit more about Leuleti, where he's from, what he does, why he does it, and what makes him tick. And so, Leuleti, thanks for having a conversation with me today.
Thank you, Andrew.
We'll take your way back, if that's okay. You started life in Tonga. What are some of your early memories of your time there? And I understand that it was while you were in Tonga that's when you first felt the call to ministry. So take us through some of those experiences.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining this chapel service. And I have to say that I'm from a family of only 8 children. And I'm the number 6 in that 8. 4 boys and 4 girls, and I attended a boys' boarding school. And I think sometimes when I went around and they know that I'm a minister, they really recognize this one. And I was asked, Leuleti, what's that? And I think they thought that I was in prison or somewhere around there. But I did this one when I attended a boys' boarding school. And it was on my 2nd year at school with the other boys, and said, we are growing up now.
Yeah.
And this is what boys really do. And I do it myself because I'm a right-handed person, and I did this one myself. And the fantastic thing, it's the name of the high school, Tonga College Atele. Nothing fancy about that one, just the name of the school. And in that school, it is a government school. And those who attended government school in Tonga are supposed to work in the government. Yep. And those who attended religious school and religious colleges, they're supposed to work in churches. Yep. But I was the opposite one. But this one happened, Andrew, when I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
And I was traveling with my sister to one of the remote islands where my uncle was working. And on our way there, the ship engine broke down.
Yep.
And I thought I was only 13, that I can swim, but I think I can only swim for about 50 meters, and that might be the end of Leuleti. And I remember when I was at Sunday school that God is wonderful. God will respond to your prayers. God will help you. And this was my prayer as a very young person. I said, God in Tongan, God, can you please take me safely to shore, and I will work for your will. And I will work for your will. Yes, sparking with God, you can call it like that. But this is my prayer, and really stayed with me at high school. And when I left school, at the back of my mind, Leuleti, you remember this prayer, and you will work for God. And that's what really, whether you call it the sense of call, I call it, this is what God has done for me, saved me from these storm at sea. And I offer this prayer. And when I left school, some people said, Leuleti, are you working in the government? I work in the government in Tonga. I work in a government newspaper. Yep. I worked there for 7 years. I worked there as the translator and proofreader. Translate articles from English into Tongan and Tongan into English. Yep. But and that's really, but I think I just look back at there, this is the way that God equipped me.
Yeah.
English is my second language, and it's not my strong part at high school as well. But when I was working in the government newspaper, translating English into Tongan and Tongan into English, sort of equipping me. Lauleti, maybe behind it, but Lauleti, I have something for you. And continue to equip me. So that is back home in Tonga. And when I decided to follow what I said to God, please help me safely to shore, and I will work for you. I was also trying to find someone that can help me find Mrs. Wright. Yes, Mrs. Wright. And I was looking for that one, and that's another story in itself. And true, if we have time,
we might come back to that.
Come back to that one. Yes.
So wow, so that's a lot of bargaining with God, or praying. But for a 13-year-old to make that decision that if you get me out of this, I will work for your will. And it took a long time for that to happen. And as you say, there were some things going along in the background. But so as a 13-year-old, you made you prayed to God about that. But is that when you also got your first tattoo?
I got my tattoo before this prayer.
Oh, before the age of 13.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad you've explained that one because
some people might be thinking, look at that minister got that tattoo there.
Yeah, I thought that's a big, scary looking.
I was in prison, but I was in prison in Melbourne working at the Juvenile Justice Centre.
Well, look, we'll come to that at some point, I'm sure. So after working at the newspaper and so on, at some point you made the more real decision to study for the ministry, and you came to Australia to do that.
Yep.
Roughly how old were you, and what was it like for you and your family when you came to Australia, and what were some of the cultural challenges that you found leaving Tonga?
Yes, because when I decided to come to Australia, this is when I decided it when I met this woman, and I said to her, this is what I bargained with God when I was much younger, and I'm thinking that I will be working in the church as a minister or youth worker or something, and she said to me, oh, I always want to be a minister's wife.
Ah.
And then we connect with each other. When we got married, this was in about 77. When we got married, and then we came to Australia for my vacation leave after 7 years of working in the government newspaper.
Yep.
We came to Australia planning when we return back to Tonga, I will resign from my work and enter the local theological college back home in Tonga.
Yeah.
And we came to Melbourne. And when we came to Melbourne, there were two Tongans who were studying at the theological hall.
Yep.
One was a candidate and the other one was still studying theology. And one of them became the first non-Anglo moderator in the Uniting Church, Jason Kioa.
Okay, yes.
They were studying at the theological hall. I came here and I went and applied to be an overseas student, private student at the United Faculty of Theology in Melbourne.
Okay.
And because I passed my equivalent of year 12 in Tonga, the New Zealand University entrance, and they allowed me to come and said, Lauleti, we'll give you, and you can come and study theology here in Melbourne in 1989. So I went back home, I resigned. The editor of the Tonga Chronicle didn't like that. Yes, he hated me for that.
Well, I lost his best translator.
And also my father as well didn't like me to do that one because I was starting to contribute financially to the family as well, to the extended family. But I said, sorry, I cannot undo it because I already resigned.
Yeah.
I am traveling to Australia on Friday.
So you didn't give them much time.
Didn't give them that much time.
Okay.
So I came first before my wife and our first children joined me in June in 89. So I came as a private student.
Yeah.
Oh, the shock. The first time that I left Tonga to a developed country.
Yeah.
And here in Australia, and I think embracing each other in public.
Yeah.
In Australia. That's not happening in Tonga.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
a couple embracing each other in public.
Yeah.
You know, and you know that when I came here, I was a private student and I studied full time. And I was trying to find a work that really fits in well with my study
Yep.
and my
Yep.
commitment to my family. We decided that my wife will look after our children because we are still new to Australia. But we first stayed with my uncle and his three boys.
Yep.
Yes, in a 3-bedroom house, and then we moved to a 1-bedroom flat. And while studying full time, the best work that really fit in with my study was working as a bouncer in a nightclub in St Kilda. And true,
Right.
remember St Kilda in
Oh, no,
1989, 90.
I've heard stories.
Yeah, so sorry, yes. But I think that is the work that really fits in with my study.
Yep.
Work as a bouncer, and that's soaked in there as well. But I think this story I always tell with people. I was working there, and I think my sort of a different look from the others. They thought that I'm a first people here. And I said, are you a first people here? No. I came from Tonga, and they said, where is Tonga? Yes, and they said, oh, in the Pacific, and I tried to explain it. And what are you doing in Australia?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm here to study. And they asked, what do you study?
Yep.
And I said, theology. And they said, and what a theological student doing in a nightclub? And that has really opened my mind as well.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be in that place as well. And that is what really sort of opened my mind as well, because I thought in Tonga when I was young that God is only present in the church, in the community, in the congregation, in the church. And that is where I started. No, God is also present here, even in a nightclub. Yeah. Yes, I'm not trying to justify my job as a bouncer, but I think, and I said, this is where we should go. And remind me of some missionaries, and even John Wesley. He was really great with people in those places.
Yeah.
The cultural shock as well, and really opening up my minds to some theological understanding as well.
So, but from what you've just said, there's a bit of cultural shock from people in St Kilda that hadn't met anyone from Tonga, and they were wondering why a theological student was deciding whether they did or didn't get in to the nightclub.
And I think,
So it
Andrew,
worked both ways.
I think we have about 14 Tongans working as a bouncer in this nightclub, and a few other people as well. And there were about, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 theological students. Tongan theological students working together there, and I think there are one. I won't mention name because they will strangle me. And but there are ministers in the Uniting Church now. There are 1, 2, 3, and one is a minister in the Methodist Church in Tonga. 4.
So would you throw people out and then go and pray for them?
We'll pray for them before we throw them out and say, "Yep, please keep them safe out there as well." But this is the journey that I had.
Okay. So you're going through theological college. You're working as a bouncer. In some of your early placements, what did you learn about people, and what did you learn about yourself?
Yes, my first placement was out in the country, Western Victoria.
Yep.
But I think before I went to that placement, when we prepare our own personal profile, and one of the questions there is that, where would you like to go for ministry? Where would you prefer?
Yep.
And I think I just put in there, anywhere God sends me.
Oh.
So I was easily placed anywhere that the placement committee finds that really good for me. So I went to a place called part of the Wennon Mission area, and I went to 3 parishes.
Yep.
And only 8 congregations.
Right.
So that is Coleraine, Kestadon, and Cavendish. Maybe the people are watching here from this area, they know, because this is close to Hamilton.
Yeah, so far Western Victoria.
Far Western Victoria.
Yeah.
I was there for 3.5 years.
Okay.
Yes, and that's really an eye-opening as well.
Yeah.
Because anywhere you can find that God is everywhere, and God missions and ministry is needed everywhere as well. But I think I was the first non-Anglo minister that was placed in that area as well. And because we have some shearers, those
Yeah.
shearers
Yeah.
as well, and there are some shearers from New Zealand.
Yep.
Yes, Maori people from New Zealand. They are good shearers, and
Yep.
I was maybe I was seen as one of the shearers there.
Okay.
I had one day that I helped two young ladies that they locked their keys inside their car.
Yep.
And because of my experience in working in the kids' prison, some
Yep.
of the kids really explained to me how to open up a car door. Yes. So I helped them, and I said, I'll go and bring something to help you.
Yeah.
And I went to my car and I helped them. Oh, he's going to get his shearers from. Yes. And I helped them. And I think about 2-3 weeks later, I contacted the funeral of the grandmother of one of these girls. And they saw me. No, he's not a shearer. He's a minister. Yes. And I think I'm into the sort of a multicultural, intercultural ministry as well. I think I was exposed to those people and said, we are all called by God to be in ministry, regardless. And I think, and because during those times as well, we are really good in trying to make sure that we broaden our ministry interculturally and intergenerationally, and other things as well.
Yeah. So far you've done. You've had many experiences where people would easily say, "Oh, we wouldn't expect a minister to do that, or we wouldn't expect a minister to be like that." And you've been quite happy to place yourself in difficult or challenging or unusual situations and help people experience God there.
And I think the way that I can find to explain it is being a minister and in ministry is being with people where they are.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think in their level, whether really high level, yes, and also really low level. I think that's what we are equipped to make sure that we be with all sorts of people.
Yep.
People who are struggling, people who are enjoying life because they are wealthy enough to enjoy life as well.
Yep.
To be in different situations where different contexts where people are.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That's great. Well, look, in 2019, you took up the placement here at Ballarat Central. And in your first few months here, you experienced a death in the family. And then a few months after that, you had to cope with as we all did, with the changes to movements and restrictions and so on. And in particular, church needed to move online. So you were hit with some pretty big challenges when you first came to Ballarat. How did you cope with all those things?
I think, Andrew, with me that great commissioning in the last few verses in Matthew, go out into all nations. And I think that the last statement there is that statement that continue to uphold me in ministry. Yeah. I will be with you to the end of the age. Yeah. And I think that's really helped me because the loss of my son, he was not the first one that I lose. Yes, my oldest one, passed away with the same situation as well. Yeah. And I was able to cope with that because of this promise by God. I will be with you to the end of the age. I remember really well when we sent my oldest son from Hamilton to Melbourne, and I was waiting for the air ambulance to arrive with my wife. And my wife was sharing that, wow, this is what God has called us into and this is where we are. I think God won't abandon us. Yes, and this is the thing. And that's the thing that I remember as well. And with my son in here as well, God will never abandon us. And I believe that God will never abandon us. The only thing that I believe that God is trying to say, and even death is part of God's plan as well. Yeah. And I said, oh God, yes, maybe it will be easier for God. But for me as a father as well, but I think coping with that and even death from a Christian point of view, And I think this is what really encourages, not because that I lost two sons, but because the Christian faith of 70, 80, 90, and some people 100 years of life in this world, there is still more wonderful things beyond that.
Yes.
And that's what really, and I think sometimes I share with people that I walk around at home and I just talk to myself pretending that I was talking to my two sons.
Yeah.
And I was talking to them, don't laugh at me when you saw me struggling with all these things. Say, what are you doing? You're just smiling at Dad and doing like this. Or maybe you're saying, come on, Dad. You can get through all these things, and struggling is part of our journey. But I think with this one as well, with that promises, yes, of life everlasting, that all these things, and even with death as well, and even death is part of God's blessings as well.
Yeah.
I shared a story when my first son passed away. We were there before they unhooked the life support, and we had our prayer there, and all the wires and the things on him.
Yeah.
And then when we say our last farewell, we went out. We came back about an hour and said, "Look at you, beautiful, without all these things, and even death as well." For me, I found, wow, rest in peace.
Yeah.
No more struggling in that one. And also, and the thing is, wait for me, but continue to support me, yes, and cheer me up, especially when I'm struggling and few things are happening. Yes, I think that's for me part of my encouragement in ministry as well. And with the COVID-19, yes, I know it's yes, but I think the God that I believe, the God that I proclaim, is still much bigger than all of this.
Yeah.
And remember about this time last year, we thought we have our beautiful London studies, yes, in February last year, and we have few people. We did our studies, and we didn't know that in March we'll go on lockdown. And I know that in March, that we decided, we were thinking that we'll live stream our worship, but we said, oh, that's still, yes, we'll think about this one. And COVID-19 came straight into live stream, even though we started from the men's with all this. much worse than last night as well. But I think, yes, and see where we are now. Yes, there are some great things comes after COVID, but we feel with those that got it and those who lost loved ones with that. But I think there are positive things with live streaming and Ben helping us, and also I think we continue to invade people's home with chapel services as well.
That's I would put it differently than invading people's homes, but because they let us in. But I think you're right. Aside from the pretty serious and significant health concerns, organisations have had to explore what is, I've heard termed as a forced opportunity. We were going to look at doing some live streaming, but we'll get to that later. All of a sudden, it's either live stream this week or we don't connect with anyone. And so that's been part of the challenge. And I guess in your services, you often refer and remind us that we are a connected community, even though many people are still at home in their pajamas or their dressing gowns watching church on a Sunday morning. We're still a connected community. But are there ways that the church can be or remain relevant in our community, you think?
And I think I deliberately used that word connected community together with the gathered community.
Yes.
Because when we have these restrictions, we are not allowed to come in person and celebrate Holy Communion. And that is the thing that I feel that I'm able to celebrate online Holy Communion because I believe that we are a connected community and God is with us. The Spirit is working with us as we gather as a connected community. Not to come under one roof, but to come under, what you call that one, under one YouTube channel.
Yes.
And that might be the new way of looking at things when we celebrate Holy Communion and being a connected community as well, to see things, because maybe this is another way we have been restricted when we are so locked down in a building.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we try to reach out but because the building that really take most of our energy and our resources to look after the building and all these things. And I think being a connected community, that we are able to be with more people.
Yeah.
And be able to relate to more people out there. And especially not only to members, to those that we know, but also to those who just search around and surf around and look for a place, and maybe they can come to this one and they can still find the Spirit of God talking to them and connecting with them in that sort of a connected community.
And that's right. And it takes a lot of courage for a person to physically walk through the church doors. But if they can experience something of church and the people in it from the comfort of their home or wherever it is that they are, they can still, as you say, connect and gather in a remote sense.
Yep.
And so maybe that's something that's been beneficial for the church to learn over the last 12 months or so. What's the next 5 or 10 years like for you?
I think I will be more older, more mature, yes. and I'm feeling that I still have the energy, yes, to continue on.
Yep.
Yes, and I think in the next 10 years I will be sort of yes. But I think also maybe something that I'll look for, maybe the next 5 to 10 years for me personally will be a transitional period.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll look out for that. That's good. Well, look, I'll finish with some quick fire questions. All right. So I've got a few of these. So just the first response that comes to your mind, which could be dangerous. Do you prefer AFL or rugby?
Can I say, if I want to play AFL,
Yep.
if I want to watch rugby,
Okay.
because rugby you don't even engage with each other physically.
Well, both aren't very socially distant, are they? so that's no good. Who do you barrack for in the AFL?
Hawthorn.
Oh, well, that's okay. And of course, your national rugby team is Tonga?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Tonga in Australia.
Yeah.
I'm a real Aussie supporter.
So good. I mean, the Aussie rugby team is known as the Wallabies.
Yes.
Are the Tongans known as
The Sea Eagles.
the Sea Eagles?
The Sea Eagles, yes.
Didn't know that. Tea or coffee?
Can I say that during Lent, decided water only.
Oh.
So if you give me coffee now, I said, no, water only, hot water, water only.
Oh, you're a brave man.
Trying to, but this morning someone said, Leuleti, do you know that you only do it during the week on Sundays? They are not count on the 40 days.
Yep.
So on Sundays, I said, okay, I can drink 20 coffees on Sunday.
So look out Monday morning. Do you prefer the countryside or the beach?
The beach with some fishing.
Of course. Church in person or church on YouTube?
In person,
Okay.
beautiful.
I thought so. What food do you enjoy a little too much?
Sweet and sour pork.
Oh. Didn't see that coming. Very good. What animal best describes you?
I think a horse.
Why a horse?
Strong.
Okay.
And working. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that yes, and they jump as well and kick too.
Oh. All right. Very good. I'll take that. Favorite holiday spot?
Portland.
Portland. Good fishing?
Good fishing.
Good fishing. Okay. What's the last book you read or the book that you're reading at the moment?
The Book of Forgiving. Desmond Tutu and Mo Tutu. Yes.
Right. Okay. What music are you enjoying right now?
Religious music. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Very good.
Some quiet one.
Yeah. Okay. What's your favorite kitchen appliance?
Microwave.
Yeah.
Fast and quick. Yes, you don't have to wait for about 10 minutes. It's just 2 minutes. Yeah.
Job done. Very good. What's your favorite tech gadget?
iPad.
iPad. Okay. Favorite movie or TV show?
Rush Hour.
Oh,
Chris Tucker and
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan. I love Jackie Chan because I don't have to think about it. I just laugh and laugh. How did you do that? And when after the movie they replayed on how many times they really make that move, and
Okay.
it's just relaxed time.
Okay, all right. And I'm not sure if there'll be a link to Rush Hour in the credits at the bottom of this, but we'll talk to Ben. What annoys you in other people?
When they have long hairs,
Right.
long hairs.
Okay. What annoys you about yourself?
Starting losing hairs.
You got, yeah, okay. All right, fair enough. How would you describe your desk?
Messy.
Okay.
And it depends on the time of the year.
Okay. When is it most messy?
Advent.
When is it most tidy?
After Christmas.
Very good. Okay. Are you related to anyone famous or important?
Because I think us all Tongans, we thought that we are related to each other.
Okay.
And I think I have to say, even though that because he's a Tongan, Israel Folau.
Oh, okay. All right. I know that you've mentioned previously that your wife is related somehow to the king of
Yes.
Tonga,
Yes.
but you're
But not me.
not you. No,
Not me.
You've just married into the royal family.
I'm just, married to her. Yes,
okay, very
yes.
good. All right. Do you sing in the car?
Most of the time.
Okay. What do
And
you-
even when I am with my grandchildren as
Yes.
well.
okay.
And children, we sing in the car.
Good.
And that's really remind me when we were at far western Victoria.
Yep.
And we were called a singing family.
Yes.
And you know where we learn our singing? While we are driving from one worship to the other one. Yes. And also when we drove from Melbourne to Coleraine. So
Right.
because
That's a
they
long
cannot
drive.
run away. The only thing
Yeah.
that they can sleep is that, come on, wake up. Yes. See, good, because they cannot go to a bathroom or somewhere.
Yep.
They will be there for the 2 hours.
Yeah.
Good time of talking and singing and
Singing.
learning.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
sing.
Wow. Terrific. We're nearly done. What do you really think of church meetings?
I saw every church meeting is a worship service.
Oh.
So if I have 10 or maybe 2, if I have 4 meetings, church meetings a day,
Yep.
I have been in 4 worship services.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I've never heard anyone share that particular view. I like it. Who would you most like to meet?
Jackie Chan.
Okay. All right. And the last one, what would you change or improve about yourself?
I think one thing that I'll improve my fitness.
Okay.
Yes, and that is why I keep on walking twice a week around the lake.
Yep.
Yes, and these no other drinks but water during Lent. Yes, and maybe few sweet and sour pork as well,
Okay.
and more veggies in
Okay.
my
All right.
Yes. Fitness and health.
We'll see how that goes. Well, Reverend Lauleti, thank you so much for having a conversation with me today, and thank you for viewing, whether you're viewing live this afternoon or watching later on. Next week we should be able to return to our regular chapel-style service, but look out from time to time when we have a conversation with someone. Thanks, Lauleti.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank
See
you
you.
for this opportunity. I really enjoyed it myself.
Good. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.